Hey everybody, welcome to Craftniks. I'm Nick, tabletop hobby spot crafter and everything from terrain to the game. And in this video, we're gonna craft the game. More specifically, we're gonna do some session prep. Now, one thing I wanted to do for this session, which is my session one for a new group that I'm putting together, is I wanted to create actual choice. There's a lot of DM advice about crafting the illusion of choice. And for anyone who might not know, I'm gonna go over real quick, is where you have a starting point and then maybe you have two directions to go, but those two directions converge into a final direction where is the ending and it'll be complete. Therefore, you're creating the illusion that your players are making a choice, but as a DM, you're really railroading that experience. It's like connecting trains, basically, right? You can choose which train schedule you want to use. Ultimately, you're going to end up at Grand Central. So I want actual choice. I want to break away from my group's innate sense of, that video game, board game feel where they know what they're going to do. They know that they're going to fight a monster. And I want to break away and I want to add more immersion to my groups. So all my veteran DMs out there who have been doing it for a long time with all your dope styles, if you hear anything that you're going to hear in this video, whether it's advice or a comment, just a thought, anything, leave it down below. And I got my note cards because I want to make sure I get everything. One final thing before we get into it, I just want to thank my patrons for your continued support. I really enjoy the Saturday check-ins and just kind of like shooting it a little bit with you guys. But I really want to thank you guys because it allowed me to pick up this clicker and it's been really helpful with recording. However, I only get like a minute and a half to speak before it shuts down on me. So if the hard cuts are like at wrong times or I'm like back and forth or whatever, I'm off screen or whatever, it's a give and take. So thank you patrons because it's more helpful than that little inconvenience, but I just wanted to throw that caveat out there in case, Anyway, let's get into it. So actual choice. What does it mean? As I reflected on what this meant, I started to really pinpoint myself, as my strengths and weaknesses as a dungeon master, DM, game master, whatever you want to call it. What I came up with was to really focus on my weakness, and my weakness really is improv. Sometimes when I do make stuff up, it's just that sometimes I leave my players a little confused. I'm not going to commit a whole lot to memory. I need to be flexible in the game in order to curate the experience. So memory is out the option. So what I decided to do was implant a tour guide. This tour guide's main purpose, not only to guide the PCs during the beginning of the adventure, but eventually to remove him and let them get used to more of the world immersion of role-playing. Again, my group does a lot of combat-heavy encounters, but I want to break away from that. Now, I was thinking about different tour guides and kind of different guides that other games have had. You had like Navi from Link or excuse me, I'm drawing a blank here. But you also had the girl from BioShock, the little sister, again. But ultimately I decided, let me just put a person in there, a scribe, a non-combatant, and this person is just meant to progress the main story arc. That would be the goal of the characters. And eventually he's going to be removed and then they will be making the choices on their own. But again, my tour guide is going to be the one to say, hey, we could do this, we could do that, and we could do the third thing. And this way they start to get used to coming up with their own decisions. Now, one thing to really make sure that I do is I would need to make sure, because again, the goal is actual gameplay. I want to make sure that they can completely ditch this guy and his arc. Need to make sure of it. So I want to put them in a position where they might not already be in the adventure already. So this is my second thought. My second thought was, where do I begin? I think if I want to create this immersion, I need to begin in a town or a village. I haven't decided yet at the time of this recording. However, I know how sort of I want to run this. Now, this is where the illusion of choice comes back in, but hear me out. So let me know down below if you guys agree with me or if you think I'm gonna run into some pitfalls. In my mind, I'm gonna run town with a time constraint. My NPC, my tour guide, is going to put a time constraint as to when they're going to leave on a voyage. They're going to enter town or the village, and they're going to walk past certain points. Now, the first point might be someone on the side of the road. They have the choice to help them. If they don't take that choice, then that means to me they want to do something different. The next point might be a message board or an adventures board or an adventures guild. Haven't decided yet. But the main goal is that we are going to hit points. This is sort of the railroad aspect, but in my mind, it is solved by the explanation of walking through the village. This is where I get to kind of paint that quick picture of the village, get that salt water air, the seagulls in the sky, you know, the bright sun, or if it's, laundry. All right, excuse that interruption, but the main focus is just to kind of, it is kind of railroading them, but they get the choice to do it. Now, again, I'm going to guide them through this and ultimately end up maybe in a tavern, and they get the choice whether they just want to pass the time to the main story arc or they want to take some of these side quests that will end up as the main story arc. So as I kept thinking, I ultimately decided, you know what? I want to create 3 different enemies, 3 different arcs that they can explore. However, if they don't choose the other 2 or they don't do something about it, it's going to influence the town. And that's the easiest way, I think, to get them to really start to see the breakaway from RPG versus board games like Massive Darkness or something like that. All right, so now I've talked your ear off about how I'm thinking about session prep, but that doesn't actually execute the prep, right? And if you're like me, you do a lot of traveling to DM. Sometimes you do it in-house, but you also go other places. So whatever I do for session 1, I want to make sure that I am ready for the flexibility of any choice that they make. So in the end, what does it mean? It means that I need to be flexible with my terrain, right? Now, I can go with the white erase board. I can go with dry eraser. Sure, I can do all that. But I am not all that. I have crafts that I did. I want to use them. So I'm going to use them. Now, I built them in a way to be most efficient. All right. I had to make some quick adjustments, but real quick, I have a video, my last video, where I made these dungeon rooms, and that's what I'm going to use to be flexible during session 1 and make sure that no matter what my players choose, I got something for them. I gotta get a mixed bag together. Guys, thank you for watching, and these are my goals. And for the next videos, several videos, I'm going to go through the whole process of how I'm going to be prepared to give my players the best experience that I could possibly do with all my flaws and all my weaknesses. I'm still going to go through it, and we're going to do it. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for spending your time with me. You know the ways to show some love and support with all the YouTube stuff down below. Just start clicking all those buttons so they light up. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. You know the deal. Got Patreon where I do a Saturday check-in. So there's that. If you want to come in, check it out. Show some love. And I have some templates for these sci-fi buildings also. Kind of sci-fi fantasy, even though I mentioned it just in case you also do wargaming and stuff like that. All the links are down below, and it's all love, it's all support, and I hope that I see you wherever it is that you are. I want to be there and we could talk shop. Anyway, have a great time, and look forward to the rest of the videos. In the next one, we're going to talk about more about how I'm going to implement these things, and not sure how many videos I'm going to end up making, but each one should be its own little self-contained essence. So let me take up no more of your time, guys. Go have fun, go play, go roll some 20s, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.